Hey everybody, Ryan here at etrailer.com. Today on our 2006 Honda CR-V, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Roadmaster Crossbar-Style baseplate kit with removable arms. To flat tow your vehicle, there's going to be 5 major components: your baseplate, your diode wiring, a braking system, safety cables, and a tow bar. So what I really like about this baseplate is that it's not going to protrude out past our bumper, and that's going to maintain that factory look. Now our base plate is going to give us a solid connection point to allow us to flat tow our CR-V down the road. When we're ready to flat tow, we're going to take our removable arms and slide them into the base plate. That's going to come included with a pin and clip that will slide behind our bumper, through the base plate, then we can attach our clip. And that'll work the same on both sides. Now we also have safety cable extensions, and how these work is we'll take our D-ring and put it around one side of our safety cable. And then inside on our base plate, there will be a tab. We'll loop it through, and then we can tighten down that nut. Now our base plate is going to work with all Roadmaster tow bars, and if you don't happen to have a Roadmaster tow bar, chances are pretty good that there is an adapter kit available to allow them to work. Check etrailer.com for your specific needs. Now many of our customers didn't have any real issues getting their base plate installed. They're really happy with how it turned out. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and install it together now. To begin our installation, we're going to need to remove our plastic radiator cover, which will be held in place by 9 push-pin fasteners. They're all going to look just like this, and to get them out, you can use a trim panel tool or a flathead screwdriver. You can pry underneath the head of the fastener, and then you can get underneath the base of it and lift it completely out. We're also going to have one 10mm bolt here on our battery strap that we need to take out. And once we loosen that up, we're able to lift our cover up, work it out, and we can set it off to the side. Now over here at our wheel wells on each side, there's going to be a small opening, and inside there's going to be an 8mm bolt that we need to take out. And as I said, we'll go over to the other side and do the same thing. And each wheel well at the bottom is also going to have a Phillips head screw that we need to take out. Now underneath the car, we're going to need to remove this plastic splash shield. And that's going to be held in place by multiple push-pin fasteners, just like this. And to get these out, so again, take our trim panel tool or our flathead, work underneath the head of it, and pop it out. With all of our fasteners removed, we can go ahead and pull our splash shield down and set it off to the side. Now we can remove our front fascia, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to each corner and work it towards the center. And usually I switch sides when I get to about the headlight, and then I can work from the center and pull our fascia completely off. But to do that, you're going to grab the edge of your fascia, kind of carefully just pull it out and work it off like that. And same thing over here. Just carefully work that fascia off. Once we have it off, you can just set it off to the side for now. Now we're going to remove our horns on each side just to give us a little more room to work. Now I'm going to do that by removing this bolt here, which is a 12mm. You don't have to disconnect them or anything, you can just let them lie. Now we need to remove our steel bumper core and mounts. Over here on the driver's side, it's going to be held in place by 3 bolts. One will be under here, We'll remove that using a 12mm. We're going to have two more right here. Once again, use a 12mm socket to take them off. Now the passenger side is going to be set up the exact same way. However, there's going to be one more bolt right here. With all of our hardware out, we can slide it away from our car and set it off to the side. So now we're going to take our driver's side plate and we're going to take a 1/2 inch by 2 inch carriage bolt and drop that down through the back of our bracket. Now this bolt is going to drop down through a hole back inside of the frame rail there. So what we're going to do is take our bracket and our bolt, and we're working in until we get that carriage bolt to drop through our frame. And once we have it down enough, we're going to secure it with a clipped flat washer. So we'll put the flat side of the washer facing towards the outside of our vehicle. Followed by a split lock washer and a hex nut. We're just going to get this hand tight for now. Now the passenger side is set up the same way, so just repeat that same process over here. Now we can take our main brace and set that on our frame. And we're actually going to use some of the hardware, the factory hardware that was holding our bumper beam in place. We're going to thread it back into those factory holes. And once again, we'll just get them hand tight for now. That way the brace will support itself. I'm going to do that on each side. Now I just want to point out, before we put any of our hardware in, all of it is going to get a little bit of red Loctite before we tighten it all down. So what I like to do is just take our red Loctite and put a drop or two on the threads. Now we're going to install our hardware through this hole in our frame. And what we're going to do is take a flat washer and our 5/8 bolt, put that on. Then we're going to slide it through just a tad. And what we're going to do before we push it all the way through, we're actually going to take one of these spacers. And it's going to be the thicker one. It's kind of tricky to tell, but if you pay close attention, you'll notice a difference. So we're going to want this thicker one. We'll put that in the opening and run our bolt through it. And then through our side bracket plate. Then what we're going to do is take our thinner spacer block, and since we don't have a whole lot of room to work, it does make it easy if you grab a magnet and line it up like this. We'll get our smaller spacer block in there and then work the bolt through the other side. Now on the other side of it, we're going to loosely secure it using a split lock washer and a hex nut. And then we'll repeat that same process for the other side. And then for these two holes, what we're going to do is take our 2-inch carriage bolts, put it through the opening, and then we're going to take the smaller 3/4 inch spacers, feed the bolt through it, out the other side. Then we're going to once again loosely secure it with a split lock washer and a hex nut. We're going to use that same technique for the hole down here as well as the ones on the other side. With all of our hardware in place and hand tight, now we're going to snug it all down in the same order that we installed it. Now using a torque wrench, we can tighten everything down to the proper specification that we can find in our instructions. With everything torqued down, we can reinstall our horns. Now since we lost the space down here where they originally were, what I did was just kind of bent the bracket a little bit, and I'll reposition them in this area. You just want to make sure that they're not touching anything, that way they don't vibrate and make noise. Now would be a great time to install any other flat toe components since our fascia is removed, giving us a lot more room. If you didn't have any other components to install, you would simply just put the fascia back on in the reverse order that we took it off. And you may have to trim your grill just a little bit to allow for our pins to be removed and inserted easily. Once that is done, you then take your safety cables and your D-rings, loop it around your base plate, and tighten it down. Now the area we found we need to trim off our fascia is going to be these two tabs on each side. And I'm actually going to remove this one tab here to make room for our 6-way plug. Now to cut these, I'm going to use a Dremel tool. However, you can use a handsaw or even a utility knife if you're careful. So here's our bumper cover trimmed out, that way everything will fit through it. Now once we have it trimmed, we can go ahead and put our front fascia back in place and resecure it in the opposite order that we removed it. And that'll do it for our look at and our installation of the Roadmaster Crossbar-Style baseplate kit with removable arms on our 2006 Honda CR-V.